this amazing titanium and integrated jury led by the president, Mr. Bob Scarpelli.
Thank you, Terry. Good morning, everyone. I don't know if you've had as long a week as we have, but it's been a very productive week. First of all, I wanted to thank my jury, our jury here, for their commitment to the task. You know, we really believe that this jury is one of the most, if not the most important jury in the most important competition in the world. And I thank them for their commitment to the task and for their passionate and thoughtful comments and ideas and discussion during the week. We had a lot of discussion about, what is titanium? What does titanium represent? What is an integrated campaign today? What does an integrated campaign represent? And what we tried to do is honor the best ideas. Titanium was created in order to honor ideas that pointed the way forward. And we took that to heart. We believed that we were looking for ideas that pointed the way forward, that made a comment about where our industry is, more importantly where our industry is going, that sent a signal and could be a beacon to everyone in our industry, particularly the young people in our industry, about the possibilities and where they could take us in the future. And we looked for, we all agree that we were looking for the bravest ideas, the most innovative ideas. That word kept coming up in our jury room all week. We were looking for bravery. I also wanted to say that we really believe that just making this short list of 32 is an amazing accomplishment, an amazing achievement. So each of the 32 entries and the people who created them should be very proud to make this short list. It was a very, very tough short list to make. So that makes the winners, our winners in titanium and integrated, even more powerful and even more of an achievement. We wanted this to represent the highest standard in our industry today. As I said, we had lots of debate about what is titanium, lots of debate about what is integrated. This is a time of great change in our industry, and the definitions keep changing. The definition of an integrated campaign is not what it was shortly, even before, in the past, let me say it that way. And, we talked about today ideas, the best ideas are integrated into culture. So we awarded we awarded a Grand Prix in integrated. We did not award a titanium Grand Prix. We did award 3 titanium lines, which we all felt were all worthy winners and could have been the Grand Prix. But we felt that because we're in a time of such change and there's so many different ways to connect with customers, start conversations with customers, that the 3 we picked represented each in its own way an exciting new direction. But we felt that there was not one this year that sort of encapsulated or captured all the qualities we were looking for. But we're very, very proud of the 3 that we picked, and as I said, each of the 3 could have been a Grand Prix winner. So I think maybe what we can do now is show our choice as the integrated Grand Prix, which is, I think you know what it is, okay, paper. It's the great Decode Jay-Z with the Bing campaign from Georgia 5. It's a fantastic campaign. What we loved about it was its bravery, its boldness, its innovation, it's immersive, it's interactive, and I think what we loved about it too is that it's creating conversations in new ways with customers. It's creating media, and we just thought it was the one that really captured all the things we were looking for in an integrated campaign. There was some, believe me, very, very passionate and thoughtful debate, and some other very, 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 very worthy contenders for the Grand Prix. But this was our choice.
Bing, Microsoft's search engine, came to us to drive trial of Bing search and maps and increase their relevance with a young audience. At the same time, we knew that Jay-Z would soon be launching his autobiography, Decoded. With one big idea, we harnessed this epic moment in pop culture, connected our client to a new demographic, and gave millions a reason to use Bing. We started by putting every page of Jay-Z's book out in the world, every day for a month, prior to the book's release. But the pages weren't just randomly placed. Every page's location was inspired by the story on each page. putting Jay-Z's entire biography in context. Fans could actually walk through Jay-Z's life, right where it happened, finding pages in 13 major cities in the US and abroad, searching for everything from huge iconic billboards to unique collectible items. And if the media didn't exist near Jay-Z's life landmarks, we created it, taking the campaign to places money just can't buy. Gucci made custom jackets stitched with a page. A Cadillac wrapped with pages paid homage to the birthplace of New York hip-hop. A page about Big Pimpin' covered the bottom of the Delano pool. Even a bronze plaque was installed in the Marcy Projects, where Jay-Z spent his childhood. We let the story on each page determine each location. The unique pages covered hundreds of thousands of square miles. And as they were unveiled around the world, Bing tied every element of the campaign together with an integrated online game that directed fans to each page on the streets. Clues to the page locations were released daily through Facebook, Twitter, and radio, and every day for a month, millions of people gathered to solve the latest clues, guiding them to the exact street locations on Bing's search and maps, documenting and claiming the pages they found. The unique framework allowed anyone, anywhere, to walk the same streets and find a page. And over the course of the month-long campaign, they chased fame of their own, as they assembled the book digitally at bing.com/Jay-Z before the hardcover hit stores. Every single piece of the campaign was woven together with Bing technology to allow fans to experience his story. Average player engagement on our website was over 11 minutes. Jay-Z's Facebook followers grew by 1 million. And Decoded hit the bestsellers list for 19 straight weeks. Decode Jay-Z's success was covered by every major news outlet, every major cultural influencer. Even other celebrities weighed in. Bing became part of the pop culture conversation. And in only 1 month, Bing saw an 11.7% increase in visits, entering the global top 10 most visited sites for the first time, and earning 1.1 billion media impressions.
Stop!
Take your questions.
Umbrella. As a jury, you just had the opportunity to see some of the great advertising ideas of the year. How do you think 2011 will stack up when you look back at it compared to some other years?
Well, anyone can jump in here, but I think that, you know, I think we came to a consensus, or we all agreed that it is a time of great change. And what was exciting for us was to see so many really interesting and new and innovative ideas. If you go through our short list, you know, there's something in every one that in every one of the entries that we would say, wow, that's a fantastic idea. Look where they took that. I think the other thing that really struck us is the power of social media today. I mean, it's obvious, of course, but you know, the every case and every idea really was brought to life, and in so many cases, the better ones, in fact, in using social media in new ways. And to me, I think 2011 will be looked at as a surprising year, and a year that signals great change and you know, a signal of great change to come. Anyone else want to jump in? Except Paul.
Hello. Except me.
You're right.
No, we talk about change, but you know, there's a recession as well, and those two factors together, I think, created conditions for, I think, maybe possibly more creativity. I think the whole jury agreed that there was a huge appetite to solve problems differently.
Yeah, true.
And that came from, and we were delighted to see that came from so many different places in the world. You know, it's like the old days was a menu du jour, but now it's like a buffet, and I think different media choices, and I think our Grand Prix demonstrated that real plethora of different ways to solve that problem.
I think for me, I hadn't really noticed this until just now, looking down the list, and it kind of feels like the digital transformation of the industry is kind of almost complete now. If you look down this list, I don't think there's a single campaign here that doesn't use interactive in some sort of innovative way, almost at the heart of what it does. It's not just about putting a video on YouTube. Each one of these things has a sort of deep point of interaction with the audience. And I think this is probably the first year that every single entry on that list would have something like that right at the heart of it.
US and US Hispanic. Talking about good, you were saying a few minutes ago. What can you tell us the code, which was a very applauded spot during the screening, and now that I see it that it didn't go through, what happened to that spot particularly?
Morse code.
No.
What is which
The
one?
The Morse code.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just thinking of
Colombia.
Colombia.
Well, we thought it was a great idea, but you talked about we thought it was a very brave idea. We actually, I think we'll all attest it was a subject of great debate in our room. It comes from our agency. We think it's a fantastic idea and a fantastic way to use media. There was a lot of question about it, about even talking about it. The question came up, and it's an impossible question for us to answer. Even talking about that idea, does that compromise those policemen and soldiers who are held captive? So we all, again, I think we all applauded the bravery of it and the boldness of it. In the end, as I said, it ended up on our short list, which is a great accomplishment. We didn't think, in comparison to some of the others, that it measured up to a titanium. It wasn't an integrated campaign either, so we couldn't consider it on that basis.
Are there any criteria? Because like each year you have a certain points that you decide what are the points in order to get an integrated campaign. So did you came up with those criteria in order to achieve?
Well, I think, as I said at the beginning, it's we had a lot of debate about what is titanium, and I think that's something for the festival to even consider. I think, in speaking to other jury members in the past, other jury presidents in the past, each one of them was like, well, we thought it was this. Well, we thought it was that. And we wanted it to be this. And I think it's not so much what we think it is, it's what you want to make it. And that's what we tried to concentrate on. What can we make, what statement can we make with our choices? And so I think for titanium, one of our criteria, as we said, was bravery and boldness, innovation. But also, was it an idea that made you, when you saw it, go, whoa, I wish we'd done that. I've never seen anything like that. And so, that sort of that visceral reaction, that's what we were looking for particularly. Because that's what we do in our jobs every day, is react to ideas and with that, like, whoa, how does that make me feel?
Thank you.
Bob, you answered my question, but I have another one. Someone mentioned the global take on things. Are you saying the sort of level of work and coming from every region, or is it stronger in some? What's your sense there?
Well, I think Paul's point is absolutely right. There were outstanding ideas from every part of the world, and it's exciting to see. We had a lot of discussion about the American Rum from Romania, which we gave a titanium line to, and that one, you could argue that maybe that one was. I hesitate to use the word traditional, but it was the one that was most like an advertising campaign, if you will. But it did use social media and whatever. But we were just sort of stunned by the bravery of it, and particularly when you consider where it came from. We really were, as I said, stunned by and really, amazed that it got done where it got done. And we talked about that one in particular. What a risk they took. The company took, the client took to do that campaign. That could have killed the product, right? They were rewarded for their bravery. So, but we saw great ideas from everywhere in the world. Would you guys say that? I mean,
Yeah.
So, I think there was a great overall spirit, and it was like today we live in great times where creativity can change everything. And that was the overall spirit on most of the entries we watched to. And this power is all over the world, in small countries, in big countries, in small cases, big cases. We were deeply impressed by that feeling that now is the time creativity can change really everything. And so
That's a great point. You know, if you look at the titanium winners, we did feel that's a great point Armin makes, that we have the power, creativity has the power, we have the power to change society, to change culture. And I think if you look at the three titanium winners, they each do it in a bit of a different way. But I think that is one of the things that really stood out to us. You know, the power of ideas, the power of creativity, the power of innovation to change culture, to change society.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Tim from Umbrella again. The Jay-Z Decoded campaign has been discussed by a few other juries as well. And one of the talking points was whether proportionally a lot of the benefits seemed to go to the launch of the Jay-Z book and not so much to Bing. I wondered if that was something the jury had talked about.
Yeah, I think we did discuss that, but we sort of looked at it as there were co-clients, you know, Jay-Z and Bing. But I think the way, you know, we'd say the way it was brought to life, you know, it certainly couldn't happen without Bing. So we really did look at it as sort of Jay-Z and Bing were the co-clients, if you will.
Can I add
Yeah.
a point to that? I don't think anybody in this room, all due respect to the Microsoft clients, but I don't think anybody in this room says they're going to Bing anything, right? We all say we're going to Google something. So Bing has a massive problem, and their problem is, as a platform, they're not used as much as the Google platforms. So, you know what, it was a brilliant trick and a great idea to go and partner with a brand that has no problems being used and absorbed by people like Jay-Z. So, you know, if you think about it, in this case, Bing didn't advertise itself. Bing gave people a user demo, you know, and proved to people that it was a good product, and the suite of products that encompasses Bing is a good suite of products. So I think that, you know, one of the things that we were talking about this morning, me and Armin, was that we saw something where there's no, you know, the great work that we saw in our personal criteria, not necessarily the whole jury's criteria, but some of the great work we saw put the products to test, or the brand's ethos and the brand's beliefs to test. It's not an ad anymore, you know? And I think this is the change. When Ian says, you know, the digital thing, transformation is almost over, it's because the things that we're saying about these brands are now becoming part of people's lives. So, yeah, the power of social media. It's not necessarily just the power of social media, it's the power of when I am trying to convince people to do something, I don't need to tell them anymore to do something, I just expose them to an experience, and they will tell people that the experience was great. And that's the beauty of Decode Jay-Z with Bing, you know? So if Bing told people, I am great, I'm faster than Google Chrome, I am this, I'm that, nobody would believe it. But if you say to people, you want to get a really cool first look into Jay-Z's autobiography, you need to go through me. And you give them a good experience, it's a pretty cool way to try and prove a point about how good your product can actually be.
I think speaking from a perception point of view, so not even as a demo, I think, you know, I remember my own experience just purely as a consumer and someone who uses those products. When I was exposed to that, it just felt suddenly that this suite of products with a funny name just suddenly felt a little bit cooler. And there's not that many ways to have achieved that. So, you know, I don't have an issue with the fact that there was some horror interest in it.
I think there was work as well. There was work we saw when we were judging that involved like a joint venture between two clients, but you only attributed it to one client. And that was the thing I think with Jay-Z and Bing, was that it was pretty even. You know, you didn't say it was just the Jay-Z campaign. It was Jay-Z to Bing. I think that we really like that.
Tony Kunderman from South Africa. Were you influenced at all by the number of elements or touch points or channels that were used in making up an integrated campaign?
Yeah, I'll take that one. I think it's interesting, as Bob said, we had a lot of debate about what is integrated. I think what we really focused on, there were some kind of guidelines we were given about how many channels and so on, but the reality is that integration isn't about, you know, bolting together a number of different silos. I think one of the things that this Grand Prix demonstrates brilliantly is how it doesn't feel like it's a number of different things. It's just a number of different things brilliantly put together in a very organic and effective way. So we weren't looking at the number of channels, beyond the guidelines, we weren't looking and debating the number of channels and so on. We were debating how strong is the idea and how effective is the idea as well. So I think, you know, we have to move away from this idea that we have to bolt together a number of different things, because some of the cases end up demonstrating, you know, that, and you don't really feel anything from it. But when it's done brilliantly, like this case, it's not really an issue.
Hi, Suzanne from the Netherlands. Well, you talk about how effective ideas are. We also have a new category, creative effectiveness. Can you comment on that? Is it really necessary, well, with the knowledge you have about all the work?
I'll try to get it right.
Yeah, maybe you should answer that way. Creative effectiveness.
Well, before we introduce any category into CAN, we discuss it at great length with the industry. So we don't wake up one morning and think, wow, we've put this in. And I think the unanimous feedback from the vast majority of people that we spoke to was, yes, it will be a good addition to CAN. The fact that we're directly linking it to creativity maintains the brand values of the festival, and I actually think it will be a very important category going forward, and will probably rank somewhere along the level of importance of this particular category.
I think it's so important to demonstrate the power of creativity, and just to link to that comment, because I'm a big supporter of the introduction of that particular panel, jury, is that we saw a lot of cases that had great ideas in them, but one of the things that differentiated, in my view at least, was the fact that too often cases are supported by metrics that are about how many people reached, and you know, the same dangers exist in the social world as well. How many likes, how many tweets, how many Facebook followers, etc. And you know, the best cases actually talk about what it did for a business, or what it did, as Bob said, to change a culture or change behaviour. So I think we're all looking at that, and there are a lot of cases that just talked about the numbers, which of course, when you're looking at such a range of countries, you know, X number in one country is a completely different thing than Y number in a different country. So it becomes difficult to kind of tease that apart. But if you've got a campaign that actually is really performing some magic for a client, then that's a whole different thing. So I think what the effectiveness jury does is really talk about the power of creativity in a sort of collective way, not just how many people are we reaching.
I think that's a good point, but I think we all agree that, you know, we were looking for results of sorts. Maybe they were more diverse. I was very impressed with the watermark campaign from Australia. I mean, what it did to the community, what it did for sales, for sure, for business. But the effect it had as it solved its problem, or if you take a look at the VW spot or the Blue Motion technology, how they continue the fun theory campaign, but were able to demonstrate it in such a fashion that it really actually affects our lives. It reduces speed in a way that it is much more interesting incentive. So yeah, I would say that as much as efficacy awards are important, we were looking at results as well. It was never a creative indulgence.
Yeah, well, that's very true. I mean, all the cases, and Paul makes a great point, the cases, you know, we looked at 480 case videos. You know, now most of us have been on, all of us have been on other juries here in Canada and other places, and you know, in film you see film, and radio you listen to radio, and press you look at press. Here we looked at 480 case videos, and they all talked about, you know, what the issue was with problem was, what their insight was, the idea, and they all talked in one way or another about results. So yeah, Paul makes a great point. It did factor into our thinking for sure.
I just want to say though that you may want to mention this here. The videos are too long.
Yeah.
I suggest to Mr. Savage, I don't know if he's going to take this or not, but whatever the fee is, I think it's 1,200 euros. It should be 1,200 euros per 30 seconds. I think that would solve it. That would help Mr. Savage and his company. The jury would be, we'd get the elevator pitch faster.
Hi, Will Sanson, Contagious. To Ian's point about the digital transformation being complete, do you guys think that there's been a danger of brands or advertisers getting hung up on a certain emerging technology or platform and perhaps kind of losing sight of really who it's for or what the point of it is and what they care about? And with that in mind, do you still look for in these campaigns like a kind of a really central human truth or a big idea, and then look at how they've used all the clever tech and everything around it to leverage that or kind of resonate?
Yeah, I think good question. I think we did discuss that exactly. I think in past years it seemed like we would do things because we could do them. We can do a flash meeting or whatever it was, the new technology. And it seems like there was a rush to do things because we could do them. I think we were all impressed this year in that, yes, as technology opens up new doors for us and new avenues for us, we were impressed with what we saw here in that people were using new media and really creating media in ways that really fostered their ideas. We looked for ideas first and foremost here. That's where we started. That's the basis of everything. What were the best ideas? What were the ideas that resonated with us? What were the ideas that made us go, whoa? And I think Ian may have mentioned it earlier, what we were impressed with in all our choices here on the short list is that it was very organic the way people used it. In fact, we were at a point where it's like, I hadn't even asked a couple questions. It was like, is that a new technology or not? Because we weren't even thinking about that. And I think that is a great signal of where we've come and where we're going.
I think it's one of the tests. I think when you're in the jury room, your questions about do people get hung up on certain things. And I think there are ebbs and flows in that, as with anything. Social media being a good example of this, about how it's used. I think the overall thing is looking at all these awards. I mean, I'm thinking back to the actual process. I mean, you could tell in the jury room when these cases went up, there was a kind of energy in the room, or there was a feeling in the room, or there was an emotion in the room that you could just feel it was a good piece of work. And too often, I think these individual elements are seen as an end in themselves rather than means to them. And I think I'm looking at all these cases and remembering seeing them for the first time, and remembering feeling, these cases, as opposed to just looking at them and kind of coldly judging the individual elements.
I would add to that. I think one thing that's fantastic right now is that sitting for a number of days, watching all the work from all over the world, from big markets, small markets. What's so clear to us is that we're in the very beginning of a new way of looking at stuff and doing stuff. And obviously, the industry right now is in exploration mode, and it's been curious and it's trying to solve new things. Actually old things with new solutions. So I think that's just really inspiring. I think also that it's so clear, the fact that we didn't have one, Titanium Grand Prix winners, it's a bit of a statement because there's so many aspects of awe and we're in this new little era and how we can solve stuff. So I think us picking 3 Titanium lions is like Bob said, that's a statement in itself.
I think one of the things that you asked me, there were things that people kind of got obsessed about and hung up with. You would be amazed that almost every single awards entry had a mention of Facebook or Twitter in it. And those two platforms for dissemination are just everywhere. And it's almost like people need to kind of just calm down with that a little bit, because it's almost, and for years we've seen this happened and then the blogs went wild and everyone talked about it on Facebook, and I think we just need to kind of understand that that's just a natural thing. if you do something great or good, then people will talk about it on those platforms. And you do see it, over-indexing every single time in every case study. And so I think as these things just become more and more commonplace, people will start to talk about them less, just because it's just the natural way of being. So that would be one thing that I would suggest to people when they're putting together their case study videos. Is you can leave that bit out, because we'll just kind of assume that takes place.
Yeah. Anything else?
How was your week?
My week very well.
Yeah, we've been in a dark room most of the week. How about you guys?
Was it sunny outside?
Yeah, was there sun?
Hot, hot, hot.
Hot, hot, hot. No, not where we were. It was cold. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bob, thank you, sir.
Good morning. Just a few words before we tell you what the Grand Prix winner was. The category was up probably 10% in its entries from last year. And we kind of shortlisted 9%, just under 10 as a shortlist, a really strong shortlist. And from that we kind of selected it down to 12 golds, 17 silvers, and 24 bronze. I think as an overall overview of the category, the work was incredibly strong, and maybe in these sort of recessionary times, the post-production kind of work, or the big emphasis on a very big post-production job, had kind of switched around, and the production values were evident in other areas of the craft, in the editing that comes to the fore, casting, like really interesting use of camera technique and locations. So the balance had kind of changed from the craft of previous years as to where it was now. But overall, we were really pleased and impressed with the quality and standard of the work. It was a change in an evolving kind of craft section, because the biggest change is that the 30-second format seems to be dead and gone. Like 60 felt like a joy to watch. Most of them are 90, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, and we kind of had to sort of go through a couple of 30 and 40 minutes as well. The medium, the internet, the viral kind of choices that people have available to them has changed the way that we need to view the craft. It's not something that's going to go away. We need to embrace it and understand it, and it's going to be a bigger part of all of our lives. What else do I need to do before telling what the winner was?
Backspin on a warp table under a bad light. A kiss off the 8-ball, a bank on the 6. Double bull in a single throw, 3 pints in. Picking up a spare on the final frame. Singing on key, off key, and losing keys. Steady hands, blurry eyes. Bars, billiards, basements, bacon sandwiches with extra hot sauce. Surviving buzzkills, third wheels, cock blocks, and calves in the rain. Finish lines drawn by dawn. These are the providence of the after-hours athlete. One last call calls. Don't answer. The night 2 is for sport. And they are the champions.
Creative effectiveness, the very first creative effectiveness press conference. Before I hand over to Jean-Marie, I'm just going to put it in context for you a little bit so that everybody understands the process that we went through. We have been working on launching an effectiveness lion for about 2.5 years now, since we first began the process. And one of the most important things about the process is that in order to be able to enter, of course, you needed to have been shortlisted or win a lion the previous year. And the reason for that was that this festival is 100% about creativity, and we felt that for pieces of work to have already won in a previous year proves their creative credentials, and therefore what would be most interesting to the industry is the effectiveness of those creative pieces of work. One of the reasons it took us so long to get to this point was that effectiveness awards are extremely complex and difficult to get right. The entrants were encouraged to enter a document of up to 3,000 words, including appendices, extra data, as much information from the client as possible. And when those pieces came into us, we would review them within our organisation, if necessary send them back to the entrant, and once we'd received them in a form that we felt was appropriate for this jury to then review, we would send it to PricewaterhouseCoopers, who then would verify the information and, if necessary, send it back to the entrant for improvements. But during the entire process of building what the effectiveness lines are about, we needed a lot of help. We could not have done it without the help of the people on this podium this morning. Many of the jurors who have been involved in this process have helped us to develop and to hone and to improve the way that the entrants were approaching this. And they've given their time and their energy and their ideas freely and openly and with real enthusiasm. So I do tend to thank the juries when we have these press conferences, but this time it is a really genuine thanks to everybody who has helped us. Finally, we will be publishing the details of the entries on our website. The winners and the shortlists will be published after the festival, so you'll be able to review those at your leisure. So, I'll now hand over to Jean-Marie to say a few words. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for being with us this morning. What can I say? It's a very brave initiative from the Cannes organization to have this new category, because, as you just said, it's a very complex thing to build and to have. And I must say I'm very happy to have been part of that, because just to say something personal, the first time I was there, some of you were not even born, you know. First time I went to Cannes was in 1973, and it's been nearly 40 years I've been trying to convince everybody that there is a fantastic link between creativity and effectiveness, so I'm so happy that now we can see it for real with this new category. And as Philip just said, the smart thing that Cannes did was to allow entries for this new category only to the work that's been shortlisted or awarded last year. So we are sure that, you know, the values of Cannes, which is about creativity, will be respected in this effectiveness award category. It's very important, I guess, to make the link. Two small points I'd like to share with you. It's not because something has not won the award that it's not effective. Because if that would be the conclusion, only 6 campaigns in the world last year would have been effective. So that's not the point. The point is maybe it was not clear enough in the paper we received. And it's very difficult for us to isolate the role of advertising or communication, or whatever you call it, in the whole thing. So sometimes the cases were kind of compelling. They were not really sure what we've seen or read. So because of that, maybe they were effective, but we didn't think that the case was solid enough to prove it. And we wanted to have very solid cases today, because it has to be solid anyway. And more importantly, what we are doing with that category is a message to the industry. We have to be very careful, to be very sure that everything you're going to share with you today is perfectly put. The second thing I would like to say, which is the same, you know, we had to do something very special. I've been in a lot of juries before. This one, we had to judge not only the effectiveness, but the credibility of what we had in front of us, you know, which is very difficult and very different challenge than the one we have usually when you are a judge in Cannes. Having said that, we have 6 or 7 fantastic cases. We have many others that we thought could be fantastic and been done a little better. So we recommended to our Cannes friends to come with some guidelines. So because we've seen so many things that we can, in such a way that we believe we can help agency next year to make better entries. So there is a group of 4 or 5 people from us who are going to be led by my friend Giles Edger, which is on my left. And the next 3 months they will recap all the things we've seen during these 2 or 3 days, so that we could come and give a white paper and some guidelines to the Cannes management and to the agency, so that next year everything would be even stronger and even more solid. I'm not saying it was not solid. I think some are solid, but not enough. I guess that's the best way to put it. Or to put it differently, the thing we think we should improve in the future is the link between the goals that the people are giving themselves and the results. There's been too much disconnect sometimes in the paper between what the people said they would do and what they really did. And even if it looks very effective, if there is a disconnect between the goal and the results, we cannot give an award. So we're going to help, again, the people next year, showing them how to do that better. I think the questionnaire that Cannes has put is very good. It's only the way people answer to the questionnaire that we can improve. So having said that, I'd like, like any president of a jury, they all say every time what a fantastic jury it was. So, but it was really because the Cannes management has been very, very careful on this one. It's the first one, so we have to be sure that everybody around the table was from high caliber, and I had great judges, you can't believe it. They are my friends now, but they are very strong. And thanks to that, I really believe we came with a good Cannes. We have not so many lions, 6 or 7, and 1 Grand Prix. And if you would agree with that, I think we would share that Grand Prix with you now. So please, let's look at the Grand Prix.
I'm Chris Kaczynski. We're giving the Grand Prix for creative effectiveness to Walker's Sandwich from PepsiCo. What was particularly good about this entry was we thought they had a really crisp articulation of the strategy and what they were trying to accomplish with the business, which was namely they needed to drive increased usage at lunch. One of the things that we talked a lot about in the jury discussion was, how much was the creative idea really responsible for the results that we're looking at, or other factors. So maybe there was price discounting, maybe there was a distribution push, and they did a very nice job, we thought, of really isolating and showing in a very meticulous way, no, it really was the creative idea and our marketing communication that was responsible for driving these results. So on all 3 dimensions, we thought that they did a very nice job and were therefore worthy of the Grand Prix.
So, are there any questions?
The creative idea itself. And then lastly, the third was really around effectiveness. And so as we went through, and there were different weightings applied to each of those, but we had good discussions about each of those around the work. And really, I think the stuff that we have awarded Lions and then obviously the Grand Prix were the submissions that we felt on all 3 dimensions really did a fantastic job.
So we score strategy 25%. In our scoring, strategy is 25%, the idea 25%, and effectiveness results 50%. Submitted. So you will have all the answers to that question. You have the summary of the summary. And if you want to have the whole thing, it's on the internet. Okay. So having said that, does someone like to answer that question? Yeah. Okay.
Hello, I'm Sally Dickerson from Brand Science. Particularly on the Grand Prix and then in all of the Lions winners, there was a question 5 which was discounting other things that could have caused this particular effect, business effect. The PepsiCo case was so strong on that. They went, I think of a 20-page exercise or something like 10 or 12, which went through that it could have been this, but we proved that it wasn't, and that we were particularly impressed with this. And that was one of the questions which actually knocked out quite a few people from our long list through to our short list as well. People, I guess, wanting to believe it was the communications, but not going far enough to prove beyond reasonable doubt that it was the communications.
For example, for instance, in many cases, it is a global brand, it's been launched in several countries. They could compare what they've done in one country to compare to other countries, for instance. So that's going to be in the guides, in the guidelines. We're going to give them the white paper. That's one example out of 10 of things people could do to make their case even stronger. You see, and so again, to come back to what just Sally said, the question number 5 is very important. We wanted people to not overclaim, to say exactly what happened. And it's the first year, it's about auditing agencies and whatever, and sometimes, even if the numbers are 100% clear because they've been audited by PricewaterhouseCoopers, but even if that's the case, even if the number is right, you can always be either just the two opposites, a little naive with the numbers or a little manipulative with the numbers, which is at the end of the day the same thing. You see. So we wanted to be sure because forever it's going to be very important that we are 100% sure or 99%. But this year, especially the first one, we wanted. That's why we have a very short list and not so many lines.
To not give too many lines was a way to set up a high standard for the next years to come in the category.
Yes, absolutely. So we would. Sorry, I'm speaking too much here. So, but just to make a long story short, we got 6 or 7 lines. I would recommend anybody in any communication company in the world to see these 6.
It was you had to be a winner or shortlisted from last year. And I wonder if that's always going to be the criteria. And also, what did Walkers win last year?
Okay.
Yes, it is always going to be the criteria, and we'll tell you what Walkers won last year later.
Maybe someone else will have no. Okay. When
everybody, welcome to the Film Lions press conference. I'm going to hand straight over to our president, Tony Gray.
Hi everyone. We had the privilege of going through 3,310 entries. The first couple of days we were split into different groups. We scanned all the work. The third day we sat as a group and went through all the work, and on the fourth we started deliberating gold, silvers and bronzes. We gave out 57 bronzes. That is a 1.72% of the entries. We gave out 30 silvers for 0.91%, and we gave out 14 golds, 0.42%, and 1 Grand Prix or 0.03%. We're all very, very proud of the golds, and we don't think we left any golds on the table. We were very diligent about, once we'd decided on the bronzes and the silvers and the golds, to go through each colour line to make sure that we didn't have to upgrade anything to a different colour. But a couple of bronzes made it to silvers, no silvers made it to golds. So we're really happy with the 14 golds. And obviously you're all wondering, what is the Grand Prix? There were 2 entries that really rose to the top, and there was a lot of deliberation, a lot of debate, a lot of passionate points of view from different members of the jury. By the way, this is a really smart, very outspoken, very strong, very passionate jury, and it's been a huge privilege to join them in looking through all this work. I've learned a lot, and I hope they have too. But anyway, so we had 2 very, very, very strong contenders. One was Write the Future by Nike, and the other was After Hours Athlete by Puma. Both are beautiful, timeless, brilliantly executed films. Every single detail in both of those films had been polished and meticulously looked at. We were inspired by both. And after a lot of deliberation and revoting, which was really neck and neck for some time, this particular piece won.
Creo que propio.
That comes across in creative's desk is to create a global film that connects locally, and this one certainly does. It reveals the truth about the brand in a wonderful way, and it's just absolutely meticulously created. That song, by the way, is by Black Betty. Black Betty, and it's called Bam. So a great song. So great, everything about it is just brilliant. So any questions? If you'd like to know, actually, the ranking, the US had 27 lines. In second place was Argentina with 11 lines. And in third place was the United Kingdom with 10 lines.
So, questions? know Tony was articulate, but he can't answer everything. Simon.
Can't just leave you hanging up there, can we? What ultimately, with the jury, what really split the difference between the two acts? Because, as you say, they're both
client is, because bottom line, an ad, a commercial is only as brilliant as the client is at the end of the day. Because at the end of the day, they're the ones that say yes or no. And Nike seems to have the knack of saying yes to some really wonderful content.
Just I had a second question as well. I'm not sure who the UK juror was, but it doesn't seem like a particularly good showing by the UK. No
better. I don't think we had a great year last year either. I think production-wise we're as strong as ever, but creatively we just didn't hit the mark this year.
We're shocked, a lot of us, as you said, they're not known for advertising in that medium. They actually, in the past, have been quite proud about not doing it. And I guess you could say, as with anything that company does, they do it top-notch and full force. And I think we were all pretty blown away by the quality of the work and how simple you could make the kind of old-fashioned product demonstration, but for what could be perceived as a very cold tech brand, make it very human and very young. So I think we were all very inspired by the Google work, and I guess we're welcoming them into Canvas here in a big way.
Absolutely.
Tim from BT Australia. In the film craft category, they said the 30 seconds.
I don't think the two Grand Prix show a trend of huge, massive, big, expensive productions. They happen to be that, but when you look at the golds, there's some, beautifully simple, not very expensively shot commercials. But I think what did shine through this year was simplicity. Simplicity of an idea. Actually, when you look at this, the idea is really simple. You can, rewrite the future, and it's, you can write the future. You can make it your own, and it's beautifully executed. And some, when you look at the gold, the creative ideas reveal the truth about the brand in a very, very unexpected way, a very surprising way. And some of those are big productions, and some of those are very simple, one-shot commercials. Look at the goals. They all behave slightly differently from a production value point of view. Some are quite low-tech, some are really super highly polished. It's the idea that made them goals.
Gold. It's an amazing piece of work. It's great. It's important. It keeps talking in the same way that this brand has been talking to consumers from all over the world. And Volkswagen did a great job this year. It also was very important because of the moment, because of the Super Bowl. And it's a great goal. It's an amazing piece for awarding a gold. Maybe it was one of those pieces that wants something even before the festival starts. And this is something that we have to be out of care, But it's an amazing goal. I think we were so happy of giving it a goal. It was all together.
What would you say about Tim Hoyt for TV3 and later also Oriol Villar?
You and later?
Yeah, that was like we love that piece because of the true story behind about the father and about the father helping his son with this problem on the spine, and it was just a really nice way to connect to the audience of the TV channel TV3. So we just, really love it. We awarded it, and I think it was a huge success.
The film was absolutely beautiful. It just captured the spirit, and the tenacity
of that family in a very touching way, and it touched with the jury very much. All sorts of screens now, which is so exciting. Whether it's a massive, big cinema screen or it's a handheld device. The art of filmmaking and storytelling is still very strong and vibrant. But I think, all media is evolving. Everything's evolving. There's no traditional, there's no new. The internet's been around for a very, very, very long time. Everything's evolving. If you look at the way print is evolving and how, touchscreen technology is allowing print to evolve, and how the digital world is allowing the consumer to be part of the actual film-making story, and you can decide, different storylines. You can put yourself in the film. I think film is going to be around for a very, very, very long time. It's the visual storytelling. It's visual storytelling, and like I said, these small screens have unshackled film from the network's 30-second kind of hold